going live. You heard the score here at 0-0. And Streibig skips that ball in right there. This is the 60th United States Handball Association's four-wall collegiate national championships. We have Colm Oling versus Jeff Streibig.
Now, I can't speak to the other draws thus far, Dave, but I have yet to see an American beat an Irish on the webcast court. Now, for all I know, the Americans may be undefeated on the back courts. I would think not, but on the webcasted courts, Dave, we have not seen the Irish lose. In fact, I haven't seen an Irish lose to an American
ever, actually. I don't think that's ever happened.
In about 7 years.
Okay.
Charlie Shanks has been on a losing streak, Dave, on the race for 8, but he's been in America too long, and he's no longer considered Irish.
Well, there's a little controversy on this match here. We have Colm Oling from University of Limerick, who looks incredible out there. Left hand, right hand. He actually scratched. He was on the board as a forfeited player, a player who talked to the tournament director and actually forfeited this match, and it was actually written in as a forfeit, and then all of a sudden he went back to the desk and said, no, I want to play. So a little bit of controversy. I was hoping we'd have a sideline reporter for this match, but it looks like we're not going to. But if we did, they would ask those key questions to Colm Oling, who's...
It's a shame. It would be really nice if there was a sideline reporter that could find that scoop, because it would certainly make this matchup a lot more compelling.
I do actually have some investigative reporters out
Jeff Streibig, Dave, off to a very slow start.
Sorry, Ashley was talking there. You interrupted her. I know you can't hear because you can't hear through your headset. Neither can I. But she said that she has some investigative reporters that are out trying to find out more information on what is going on with Colm Oling.
For those that think it's easy to have a conversation with two other people when you can't hear a word that either of them are saying, think again.
0 serves 1. Point. 1-1. Point.
And Jeff Power killing that ball into the left corner.
Serves 1. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Play it over.
And I don't like that call from our referee, as Jeff took that back wall shot, skipped it, and then looked back at the referee and got the hinder call. There would have been no hinder call had he made that shot.
Point.
And I know, Ashley, you're a big opponent of that play, particularly. If you take the shot, you can't ask for the hinder if it doesn't go. And that's really the position of the referee, because the player always has that bias that, you know, I held up on it or whatnot, but the referee has to step in and say, you took the shot.
Yeah, if you go for the shot, you can't look at the ref, because you know if you make the shot, then you wouldn't want the call. So the ref really has to stand strong. And
well, our number one player in the world, Ashley, Luis Moreno, will go for shots even if the ball hit him, and then turn around and tell the referee that the ball hit him after the shot's over with. So we've seen it done before.
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't happen a lot, but it's up to the referee to eliminate those.
I have no clue, Dave, why Colm Oling was going to forfeit this match. Even though he's trailing, he's a very strong handball player out here. He just gets passed by Jeff Streibig. Jeff's father watching courtside. This is the Collegiate National Handball Championships, 60th edition here with the United States Handball Association.
I was watching Jeff's game yesterday, and it's very interesting to see his interaction between him and his father, because most kids don't like to listen to their parents when giving them advice, no matter how good the advice, but he listens quite intently to his dad and appreciates the advice he's given him courtside.
Well, I think that's because, for example, your father's never won anything, but Jeff Streibig's father is a national champion type caliber handball player. One would say kind of a pro qualifier and, you know, top pro of his age bracket.
2 serves 4.
I also think Jeff started playing handball a little bit later and developed a little bit of a different handball relationship with his dad as opposed to growing up in the game with him, where it's a little bit more difficult to listen intently to your dad. He's coming into the game a little bit later and a little bit more mature.
Point.
And I think he's more willing and more open to listen to what his dad has to say. There are some guys that actually will yell at their dad during matches.
Or their mom. It's really strange. I mean, we're not going to bring up those names because we don't want to make this about anybody personal here in the booth, but we've seen it, we've witnessed it, we've actually talked about it, and we have not enjoyed it.
I actually kind of enjoy it.
Well,
Rodney.
now you're naming names.
Well, we all know who we're talking about here.
Really?
Yes.
That's a crazy ball. You have to kind of pick and choose what that ball's going to do, and the Mo State clan likes it here, show court side.
5 serves 3.
5-3 is the score. Jeff Streibig getting a lot of fan support from his fellow Mo Staters.
And I actually just received intel on the forfeit situation. Colm originally forfeited because of a hurt shoulder. Then he decided that he could play, and they left the decision up to Jeff if he wanted to take the forfeit or play the match. And he decided he wanted to go ahead and play the match and not just take an easy win.
Well, we'll see what team captain John Hinge has to say about that if that ends up costing Missouri State the national title, which it very well could.
Colm Oling does not appear to have any type of shoulders issue with his right or his left. His left might even be more powerful than his right. Look at that shot, Dave.
Well, it was slightly mishit.
Well, he mishit it one inch high, and a very smooth swing from the University of Limerick handballer. Scores 3-6, and I don't know how. It's a big setup. Maybe that's the reason why Jeff has the lead.
Jeff has some of the best offense of anyone I've watched at this tournament. Already in this game, Dave, he's killed 8 balls, 6 with his right and 2 with his left.
Second serve.
He's also skipped 5 balls, but it's been a winning formula thus far as he's doubling Colm's score here early.
He's doubling or doubling? Are you trying to keep it thematic with the Irish player in the court?
It was a pun.
Okay.
But I can't say that it was a...
Was intended?
Intended pun.
Okay.
Still haven't executed an intended pun. I pulled off a couple of really nice unintended puns, though.
Okay.
6 serves 3.
Puns for me are a lot like double bounces. I actually don't call them even though I really meant them. And I'll actually sometimes not claim them to be intended even though they really were, just so I can get that additional laugh.
So you find that you get more laughs from an unintended pun
if
than
I
an
announce
intended.
that it was unattended before I actually say the pun, it makes it really funny.
Oh, I could see that.
Nice get there.
That was a beautiful get from Jeff. And that time, Colm throws a big wrinkle on the left-handed overhand spike. And when you spike the ball overhand, a lot of times that ball takes on a big natural and hops away.
Second serve.
You know, coming into this match, Jeff already knew that Colm had originally forfeited because of a hurt shoulder. So mentally, he probably has an edge up knowing that there's an injury in the making.
Well, I feel like, Ashley, sometimes that actually works against you, thinking that your opponent might be injured, and then all of a sudden your opponent's playing this amazing handball, and you think to yourself, wait a minute, I thought this guy was injured. What's going on here?
Short. Second serve.
I know I've had a hard time in the past past playing against guys that I thought were out of shape that didn't look like they were all that fit. And you think, I'm going to run this guy around, and then you find out his conditioning is better than yours.
4 serve 7.
If that were the case, if I were the other person, I would play that angle even more, pretend like it really is hurting you more than it is, just to make them start thinking about it.
Point.
Nice shot there.
5 serve 7.
Now you can really feel the energy picking up in the room as you get a home court Missouri State player getting on there. You hear the cheers in the background. They're growing and growing as he's at a 7-5 lead.
I agree with you, Ashley. There's a lot of buzz right now around this show court. Jeff Streibig's a very popular player in these parts. And this is the time of day now where a lot of the players are either finished for the day or they have a little bit of time between their next match, so they're all gathering around here to support their teammate.
I thought it was past you. I thought it was past.
And that's the first real call I've seen any referee make here in this event. That's the first time I've seen a player look at the referee and the referee not change their call in his favor. I like that from the little baby. And I agreed with the call.
It was.
And Colm, Dave, is one of these guys, kind of like Michael Wu. You look at him and you say, why isn't this guy, you know, contending for the Open Championship? Because it looks like he's got all the skills. He's got the Irish whip, also the American sidearm whip, plus a pretty good overhand game as announcers cursing him.
Perhaps maybe because he hurt his shoulder, Dave.
Well, he didn't come in as one of the top seeds. And that's a great get from Jeff. And Jeff calling a double bounce on himself. That wasn't a double bounce. I'm right on top of that line here, Dave. I know you're blocked out a little bit, but.
No, I saw it clearly from here. He got that in one bounce, and it wasn't double. But, you know, just like your puns that weren't intended, sometimes you call them against yourself, even though you know really that you might have got it.
And that there is a lack of experience from Jeff, taking a fading away 39-foot kill shot attempt.
With his fist, mind you.
Well, yeah, the odds are not in your favor. Now this is where you want to go for the kill. He can live with missing that shot, Dave, even though it's one of the easiest shots in the game because he's hitting the right shot. What you can't live with are the mental errors.
Dave, I think you should call a timeout. And if he doesn't score here, Jeff is going to get his father on that back glass pounding it, but it doesn't happen. It's going to be a side out.
Well, fortunately for Jeff, he's got the announcer's curse working against Colm.
Point. 8 serves 10.
Now we're at 8-10 here in game number 1. This ball is going to be tough. That new ball, the back glass, and the fact that it's coming straight down from height to downward is very difficult for these guys. You're seeing a lot of them are commenting on how the ball just jumps off that back wall, but that one is going to come straight down.
Well, all these players have prepared for this event using this ball, so it's not necessarily a new ball for them, and this is Jeff's home court, so.
I don't know how you prepare for a ball that's going to be hit like that, though, that comes down off the back. You know, the one that's difficult enough where you almost have to go down on one knee and just scoop it to the front wall. It's so sharp coming off the back wall. How do you deal with those and practice that shot? Because it's really hard to emulate it. Like throw a ball to the ceiling, perhaps?
Well, I would actually, that's a beautiful pass shot.
And dug out.
Dug out. Amazing get from Jeff. That could be a turnaround here, Dave. This could be a huge rally-changing, momentum-changing rally for Jeff Streibig.
Streibig just put that ball dead center off the back wall, and
that's a big rally for Colm to end up coming back and winning after giving up the advantage. But going in the court and just punching the ball to the ceiling as hard as you can hit it, and then practicing that shot coming off the back wall is about the best thing you can do to practice that shot.
Hold it, hold it.
It's getting really noisy in here, Dave.
Well, this is not your dad's handball tournament, Dave. This is the collegiate nationals where things get awfully rowdy.
Well, it is starting to get rowdy here courtside at Missouri State University. Jeff Streibig takes that ball at the back wall.
I would say that was a bunch of guys making a lot of noise, loving the experience, but that was actually just one guy.
One guy that goes by the name Blackout.
8 serves 12.
That's his own self-given nickname.
Very
And if I were to
fitting,
say it to him and give him that nickname, I would probably be thrown in jail. But since he gave it to himself, I guess it's
9
okay.
serves 12.
9-12. Isn't it strange how life is, Dave Fink?
Well, you and I are sitting in here talking to
Side out.
thousands of people, so yes, I would say it's strange.
12 serves 9.
Ling up 12-9. Did that ball make it?
You know,
Looked like that ball went up through a shirt,
he had one
Ashley.
of those shots yesterday. He hit a beautiful touch
Side
out
out.
there.
Well, Jeff really lives and dies by that back wall
9 serves
kill.
12.
Unlike the Irish guys who aim a little bit higher on the front wall, Jeff's balls either roll out or hit the floor first.
I thought, watching Streibig play, I thought we were watching Jeff Kastner in there.
I agree with you. Very similar style.
Hold it. Hold it.
Good call
Play it
there
over.
for the ref.
I don't know. That ball cracked out, and Colm was on the other side of the crack. I don't
9
know
serves 12.
how Jeff couldn't have seen that ball all the way down the gun barrel. I think the screen happened about 2 shots earlier, Dave.
Side out.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a strange call at that point in the
12
rally. I thought there might have been a
serves
screen a couple shots before that. Terrible return from Jeff.
That ball just stays up, though, and I think Colm was able to track it down,
Side
unable
out.
to flip it back to the front wall, though, and there's a timeout called from
Timeout.
Ling.
First timeout.
And Streibig back into the server's box. You're watching the 60th United
It's,
States Handball Association's
12-9.
Four-Wall Collegiate National Handball Championships.
Let's take a replay of that last rally where Colm had a huge back wall setup, drove the ball down the right. Jeff not only flips it back, but he flips it to wall behind Colm, and then Colm has no play on it.
12-9.
Colm actually wore himself out, chasing the ball down, had to call a timeout. Here's a big setup that Colm should put away.
But see how the ball jumps up off the crack? Colm just had a stroke of bad luck there because he powered that ball down the wall, but it hit at the ground and the wall at the same time and actually shot up. That's not what that ball normally would do, where it would stay down flat. Instead, I think it hit the ground first, and when it hit the wall, it had the right spin and popped up about 2 feet almost.
Well, I agree with you, Dave, and that's why I also would never condone playing bad bounces, because who's to say that's not a bad bounce? That
Right.
didn't bounce the way we expected to bounce or the way it would normally bounce. So
Oh,
how
this
can you
thing?
say that's a true bounce, but the ball hitting off the light isn't a true bounce? It's all part of the court, and there's all kind of sort of strange bounces that can take place there. I agree with you.
That's why I wish that whole bad bounce rule just went away, because I think you make a good point. People look at the creases on the back wall or the lights or imperfections on certain courts
Time
and
in.
say, hey, if it hits that, it's a bad bounce. But other
9
bad
serves
bounces
12.
take place on the court. There's a lot of different angles in that court. And that one certainly was a bad bounce and worked in the favor of Streibig.
And,
Point.
some courts are different than others, and people will argue, well, you can't, some courts there's creases in the side walls, but you
10
go
serves
on
12.
certain golf courses, you can hit the ball straight 350 yards, you're in the middle of the fairway. Another course, you hit it 350 yards dead straight, you're in the middle of a lake. So it's always a little bit different, and you just adjust to it.
I grew up playing on a handball court that actually had a basketball hoop in the back third of the court.
Side out.
And court rules were, if it hit the net, you would play it
12
over, but
serves
if it
10.
hit the rim or any part of that backboard, you would actually just play it live. The net would drop the ball immediately, and it would be almost impossible to get to. But
Point.
I mean, house rules are different, but in that case, since it's not an object that you would see in a regulation court, I understand playing
13
balls
serves
like that
10.
over. But if it's an actual regulation court, I say play everything.
And it's amazing how easily you adjust when you know that you're going to be playing the ball off the rim or off the backboard
Side
or
out.
off a strange door. It just becomes second nature. It's something you don't even think twice about.
Now I know
10 serves,
Nate
13.
Alvarado and John Bike, John Robles, Waddy Dog, Nate Alvarado Sr., Al Moore, those players, Billy, down in Southern California. Nice dig right there from Oling, but
Point.
they play on a court that's missing 4 boards in the deep left
11
corner
serves,
on the
13.
back wall, and they put a towel in there, and Nadi Jr. serves so good that it seems it hits the towel all the time. The ball does bounce up just a little bit, and they play it. It's got a towel as a 4-board over on the left corner, and they play all bad bounces there. And nobody ever complains about it.
Side out.
Well, you know,
And they play
Dave,
$100 matches there. That's not one of those things where those guys come in there and just
13
play around.
serves, 11.
Since they're all national champions at one point, they all play for money. So there's a few bills every single time they get on the court.
I didn't know that. Might be making a trip down to Hesperia in that case.
Well, in that case, you better bring money because probably won't win anything. And I'm
Point.
being nice.
Huh.
You're watching the Collegiate National Handball Championship 60th edition from the United States Handball Association as
14
Oling
serves, 11.
steps in here. Game 1, 14
14
to
serves,
11
11.
is the score here. He was about ready to scratch this match because he hurt his shoulder, but I can't tell you which shoulder looks like it's hurt. Can you, Dave?
Well, I think you might be making a bigger issue out of this than there needs to be, almost like the reporters talking about Dwight Howard's trade demands. To me, it's kind of a non-issue. He's in there playing, just as Howard is playing for the Magic, and until he's not, I don't see any reason to talk about it.
Well, I'm a big fan of Oling, and that's the reason why I am talking about it. I want to know as a fan if my horse is hurting. Now, you might
So first time out.
take the opposite side of that, Dave, and I don't blame you because you're a negative person. But for me, my horse is Oling from
Could
the
you tell us-
University of Limerick.
Tell us a little bit about your horse, Comb. Unfortunately, the internet's not quite fast enough for you to load that up.
Well, I mean, what do I need to be loading? I know that he's at the University of Limerick.
Unfortunately, you're not friends with him. You can't get that info. Doesn't reveal all his information to strangers.
Well, he's from
on his Facebook page. Well, I know where he's from. We've been over that.
Where is he
Yeah.
from?
He's from Limerick.
No, he actually from Kerry. That is the opposing county of our good buddy Tony Healy, who's from the county of Cork. Those
I
two
wish
are
Tony was my good buddy. I
huge
don't
rivals.
think- Oh, okay.
Huge rivals. You don't want to mention the word Kerry when you're a Cork fan or vice versa. Kerry wears the dark green shirts. Cork has the red in their shirts.
You know, on the webcast there, we just saw Jeff getting some advice from his Hall of Fame coach, Tommy Burnett, who's trying to help him get back in this game. And you see Colm next to his trainer, Emer, who is along with the Irish team.
One of Colm Oling's favorite quotes, "You can't be chewing gum willy-nilly like."
Time
That's
in.
one of his favorite quotes.
How
It's
about
amazing
the other
how
one?
you
15
memorize
serves.
that.
I'm not going to say his other favorite quote. His favorite album is Socks in the Frying
Point.
Pan. And he loves enjoying the TV series Scrubs, which I know you watch as well.
16 serves, 11.
That's what he watches back home when he's not studying at the University of Limerick.
Point.
Colm seems to be running away with this game, serving at
17
17
serves,
to
11.
11.
Well, he's dictated play throughout. Jeff has made a couple of really nice kill shots, but while Combs built this large lead, it's been Jeff on the defensive just retrieving, and Colm camped out in that front court.
I like that shot right there. Pass, Colm able to dig it off the back wall.
Side
It's
out.
an interesting shot from Jeff, a very good shot.
It was interesting because I thought he hit it a little too hard. I thought he can
11
paddle that,
serves, 17.
keep that ball down, but With this ball, I think Jeff is learning how to keep that ball down. I know it likes to stick up a little bit.
And that
Skip.
just skips, as it looked like Colm made a pretty
12,
great
serve
shot there as
17.
the ball rode the right wall.
You see Jeff just not able to put the ball down. He had a back wall set
Point.
up right down the middle of the court, and he just couldn't put it away. But luckily, he got the point out of the rally.
13, serve 17. Side out.
And there's a miss hit from Streibig.
17, serve 13.
Beautiful shot from
Side
Jeff
out.
there. Fading back. Drills the
13,
kill
serve
1 inch
17.
high.
Point.
Dave, how tough is it to catch a ball coming off that glass down in that exact position
14,
that my
serve
horse
17.
Colm had to try to do just a few seconds ago?
Well, particularly at this time of day, Dave, in the mid-afternoon where the sun is starting to creep into the court here. That's about the toughest pickup on the court.
Point.
And now it looks like Streibig's only within 2, and I'm expecting a timeout from Colm. I know he looks back to one of his Irish
15, serve
coaches,
17.
Emer Ne Falloon, who's sitting courtside actually taping up a fellow handball player, and I expect a timeout right here. Surprised I haven't seen one yet.
16, serve 17.
We're at 16 to 17 as Streibig starting to make his way back.
I really like that lob serve that Jeff is hitting. Showing that he's very versatile.
Nice
Side
shot right
out.
there from Oling.
Seventeen, serve 16.
That ball can get over hit really easy, Dave, on a return.
Not good handball up there in the front court. Both guys just banging the ball right back to one another.
I thought Oling had an opportunity there to do one of those Alan Garner overhand spikes. He might have been a little bit too far back.
And
Point.
that right there, Dave, is the reason these guys are
Second timeout.
not in that upper echelon of college handball, because when they have those opportunities, they drive the ball, they hit the ball extremely hard, but they're not really placing the ball or hitting the right angles to keep the ball away from one another.
You're watching the 60th United States Handball Association's Four-Wall Collegiate Championships here in Springfield, Missouri State University, where we're doing the games live. If you can, get on your favorite social network site and give us a status update or a retweet, getting more of your favorite players and friends and fans to watch this live broadcast. I know you've been talking about handball for years. Some of you, your friends, co-workers possibly, think that you're completely crazy because you leave for these weekend tournaments and then come back and you're sore for 2 weeks and can't walk, and you complain about how great the sport is, yet it seems to be dominating your body. They always laugh at the water cooler about the sport when you talk about it because it sounds funny when you say, I went to a handball tournament, stroked the ball around the court a couple times. They have no clue what you're talking about, but this is their opportunity to watch live, and they can do so right now, and you can show them exactly what your passion is. Handball at racefor8.com. As we have a timeout here. Ashley Moeller to my left, Dave Fink to the right in the booth. Referee is the little baby, Derek Contreras, who's doing a pretty good job managing this court here. Our lead camera is
Time in.
Omar Lemus from Houston, Texas, and from Kelso Longview in the satellite van director, Linda Manning. This is the part during the rock concert where the lead singer actually announces the band and the
18
drummer
serve
does a drum
16.
roll. I was expecting Linda to throw up some graphics when I said her name. Didn't happen.
And Jeff
Point.
had that shot lined up perfectly and just unable to execute. That's his
19
bread
serve
and butter.
16.
The back wall kill into the right corner. Sometimes everything looks good and feels good and just comes up just short.
Well into the second day, it's getting to the point where a lot of these young players are getting tired legs and their shots just aren't going as hard as they're used to. So they need to adjust a
Possible
little
game
bit and
point,
hit the ball
serve
just a little
16.
higher to accommodate for those weary legs.
That's a very good point, Ashley. And these guys not only playing in back up and back down, drop up draws, so they're playing a minimum of 4 singles matches, but they're also in the doubles competition as well, which is another 4 matches. So
16
before the
serve 20.
weekend's done, Ashley, they'll have played 8 full matches.
Now it's 17 to 20 here for Streibig, and the crowd's starting to clap his way into getting some points here.
17 serves 20.
You like the serve, Dave?
Well, I like it when he keeps it down the left wall. That time it came off the left side wall.
But it's actually bringing him some points, and he has another setup here, and he goes back down the left side and clips a wall.
Point.
And O'Ling dives in and just barely misses that one up front. Now we have another point for Streibig.
18 serves 20.
Streibig seems to come back and get within 2 or 1, and then there's a side
Side out.
out.
That's just a lack of concentration there from Jeff. Need to take his time a little bit
20
more.
serves
Can't afford to
18.
hit the left side wall with that lob serve, particularly not serving at 18-20.
O'Ling playing pretty safe here, Dave. Here's
I
a
think a
setup.
little bit too safe, and that was way too safe a shot there from Jeff Streibig.
And it actually hurt his
Point.
chances of getting back in the server's box. He just kind of just
Your game,
feathered
guys, you
that
have
ball
5
up,
minutes.
Dave. Not a smart shot from Streibig, but he's going to regroup here. I know it's going to be very tough to get back some of that mojo that he had to dig down for to try to bring this into a closer first game. And I know the second game is going to be very difficult for Streibig, but he's definitely going to have to do it in order to take O'Ling to a tiebreaker. We're going to take a quick timeout, back in 4 minutes. For Fink and Moeller, my name is Vincent. Stay here at racefor8.com. also embarrassing. I mean, not.
Boys ready? He's serving. Good luck, boys. 0 serve 0.
You heard the call from the referee, 0-0. This is the second game. And it was
Point.
Colm O'Ling winning the very first one.
1 serve 0.
21-18 versus Jeff Streibig. This is the men's Division 1A class, round of 16.
Point.
That first game lasted over 45 minutes. Or I should say
2
last
serve 0.
45 minutes.
Point.
And a hand air from O'Ling. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes tiebreaker, Ashley.
3 serve 0.
I would like to see a tiebreaker. We haven't seen a lot of extremely close matches today.
Point.
Although the type of fans here are rooting for a particular team.
4 serve 0.
I don't know that they would enjoy tiebreakers. But I guess if you're a Streibig fan, you definitely would.
Side out.
Streibig jumping out to a 4-point lead here.
0 serves 4. Point. One serves 4. Side out.
These players trading side outs right now, Ashley.
4 serves 1.
Streibig serving at 4-1 against O'Ling, who just hit that ball to the ceiling and right into the ground.
And early on in the
5
game, that's
serves
what
1.
you want, is you want quick points off the serve, where you can jump out to a lead and get comfortable.
Oop. Play it over. Five serves 1. Side out.
A lot of times in these games today,
One
we've
serves
seen
5.
players cutting the ball off in the middle of the court on a hard ball straight down the middle that would normally be a back wall setup. Do you think it's just inexperience that they're not taking the easy kill off the back wall, or do you think they're just anxious?
Well, I think it was what you mentioned earlier, and the fact that they have played multiple rounds of handball, and maybe, and as you know, the game begins and ends with your legs, even though there's some guys out there and gals that have some great arm strength. It's really not about the arm. It's about getting yourself into the right hitting position. I think later on in these tournaments, and that's what separates the top players like Paul Brady and Luis Moreno from the rest, is the fact that they have very strong legs, even in their 5th or 6th round. And I kind of sometimes think it's a combination of that, and maybe the stress of knowing that you've lost a first game, or maybe you're trailing after you won the first game, and you kind of are a little tense. And sometimes when we see tense players, they lock their legs early and then just start swinging with their upper body, and they don't use their legs to push off. It's like getting onto a wild amusement ride. Instead of just loosening up and trying to become one with the ride, you instead get really tense, and you get that jarring feeling, and it's probably scary as heck, right? So these players are out there, instead of being fluid like Nani Alvarado on a serve, they get tense like me at the buffet line.
Side out.
Long answer for such a little question.
6 serves 2.
Ending as it usually does with the buffet.
I like to cap it off. That's where I put the lid on the mayonnaise jar.
Side out.
Is that before the sprayed whipped cream into your mouth or after?
2 serves 6.
I don't like to use spray whipped cream.
You're more of a Cool Whip kind of guy?
I am.
Point.
There's a big shout out to all the
3 serves
Irish
6.
handball players back home in the Emerald Isle watching this live broadcast and were unable to make it
Short.
over to this event, whether in the collegiate event themselves
Second
or
serve.
just the fans that wish they could come to America and support the team. I want to say hello to them. Best of luck to Colm from everyone at the University of Limerick, and best of luck to all the rest of the Irish from Mark O'Donovan, who's watching this live broadcast right now.
4 serves 6.
And all of those in Ireland unable to make the trip. I know that even those that are not in college still love coming to America and supporting their homies.
Side out. 6 serves 4.
Jeff continuing with that lob serve at 6-4 over Colm.
Point.
With another quick point there to make it a 7-4 lead. After losing the first game, 21 to
7 serves
18.
Streibig going back to that serve. Actually, he's had a lot of luck with it, but when he's missed it, he gets exploited rather quick. This can be a setup for Colm. And
Nice.
Streibig's able to get that back to the front wall. O'Ling pushes it past him, though, with a 2-wall. That is just a beautiful shot from
4 serves
Colm
7.
O'Ling.
Side out.
Streibig puts that in the exact perfect spot in the deep left corner.
7 serves 4. Side out.
I'd like to see Jeff switch to more of a power serve, but I don't know if
4 serves
fatigue is
7.
getting into the way.
Short.
I'm sure there's some there, but this guy looks like he could run forever. You're hearing a lot of
Second
cheering
serve.
right now from the Irish contingent. Emer Ní Falún is sitting courtside cheering on
Side out.
Colm O'Ling right now. You can even hear her as we
7
will
serves
toggle
4.
that back camera over from where Omar Lemus is standing over to Emer, and you'll see her courtside here in a minute. There she is, dead center, wearing the purple and the Missouri State Bears
Side out.
jersey, and she's the one clapping after every single play, trying to get her teammate, I should say her fellow Irishman,
4 serves 7.
into the game here. 4-7 is the score. Good camera work from our
Side out.
number 1 over there,
7 serves
Omar
4.
Lemus. His new nickname is Ringtail.
And mine is ringworm.
That is true. Just keep that left hand away from me.
Glad it's on the right.
Side out. 4 serves 7.
That was a very good defensive shot. He just barely popped it off that right wall there to go straight down the left.
I thought it was brilliant, actually. Just a little flip of the wrist. When I hear the
Side out.
younger players, the smaller ones in stature say, I can't get the ball back to the back
First
wall.
time
You
out.
tall guys have a lot of leverage, and you see a shot like that where he just flipped a little tiny wrist and it went all the way to the back wall. That shows you that it's usually just about your own personal leverage, not necessarily how much you weigh.
And especially with this lighter ball, it seems to just pop off your knuckles and surprisingly goes farther than you think it would.
You're watching the live broadcast here of the 60th United States Handball Association's four-wall Collegiate National Handball Championships in Springfield, Missouri. Right now we have a men's A Division I matchup between the University of Limerick and Missouri State University's Jeff Streibig and Colm O'Ling from University of Limerick. Dave Fink is courtside right now. I don't know where he's at with the wireless microphone. I'm looking for him, but I know that he head out somewhere.
We're playing kind of a Where's Waldo with Fink today. Getting some great interviews from the sideline.
Well, he said he was taking the match off, but all of a sudden I can kind of hear his microphone every now and then.
I'm actually going to be doing some updates from the outer courts. We've got men's and women's open round of 8 action going on, including cover boy Daniel Cordova. And I'll be finding him on one of those outer courts as well as some of the other round of 8 matches being played and giving you guys the updates, the scores, and anything that I'm seeing in those matches.
Okay, so what court are you on now compared to the show court here? Is it from, if you're looking at the front wall, are you off to the right or are you looking down the left?
I'm actually here on the adjacent show court, just about 10 feet across, watching women's open round of 8 action.
Okay, so you're on the left. Thank you for answering the question.
8 serves 4.
8-4 here. Streibig up by 4, Dave.
A nice power pass there by Streibig. You're starting to hear the Missouri fans get a little more riled up as Jeff took the 9-4 lead here in the second game after losing the first in a close 21-18 game.
Side out.
Stay aggressive, get back.
4 serves 9.
O'Ling, who won the first game, is now finding himself down by 5. Streibig has just played really consistent handball. O'Ling originally scratched because of an arm injury, and then the name was written down the scoreboard that way.
9 serves 4.
Ashley. And Jeff Streibig felt that he wasn't even going to play, and then O'Ling decided to come out of retirement and said to himself, I didn't come all the way to the United States to scratch, so he asked Jeff if he wanted to play. They said yes, and bam, they're on the show court, and that's how easy that worked out. Score here is 10-4 in favor of Streibig.
You can tell Jeff really loves this game. I mean, a lot of players would take an easy win just to get to the next round to advance, but he said, no, I want to play this game. I'm here to play, and he's now at a 10-4 lead in the second game.
After losing the first, which makes it even more difficult for that decision, you agree to play and you end up losing. Well, that's the sportsman right there. Nobody wants to.
Difficult, guys. Sorry to interrupt you there, Dave, but for Jeff, who thinks that he had already moved on, and then to accept the match after he was already mentally checked out of it, could account for that slow start he had in game number 1, but I think both these guys very evenly matched. Jeff, the retriever and the kill shot artist, and your horse, Dave, Colm, very steady, very consistent.
Advantage, let's go.
Let's go.
11 serves 4.
Dave, give us an update on what's going on in that adjacent court right now. You have the names of the players that are on court number, I believe it's number 4.
I actually don't.
I believe it's Annie.
It's Annalise, yes.
Annalise is playing against, her opponent's last name is Brown. I don't know what school she's with, but I know I have my brackets memorized.
12 serves 4.
That's LFC versus
Short. Second serve.
Need to finish my sentence. LFC versus whom? That would be probably the women's A.
I believe she's facing Madeline Brown from Missouri
13
State.
serves 4.
Madeline is an excellent young player.
Yeah, that's right. It's
scored
Maddie Brown.
13 consecutive points since I've
Head
been
out.
sitting here.
Annalise has called
4
2
serves,
timeouts to
13.
no avail.
Point.
Beautiful shot right there, but it skipped in. He looked good doing it, Jeff Streibig did, but my horse,
5
Cole
serves, 13.
Oling, getting the point, now 5-13. Colm seems like he's in the front court and dominating the action here, but he's only scored 1 point in the last 30 minutes.
See these players just pounding it right down the middle again.
Side out.
Looks to me as if Colm is starting to run out of some juice here.
Maybe
13
you should
serves,
feed
5.
your horse some hay.
Hey! What? I threw in a what maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That's actually a disease that Dave Benson has to get in that last word and last joke, no matter how terrible it is.
14 serves, 5.
I play a game of percentages, Dave Fink. My record's not very good.
Point.
And Jeff Streibig is now out to a convincing 15-5 lead after losing a close first game, 21-18.
15 serves, 5.
He keeps going to that left lob serve, which is scoring him bunches of points here.
Side out.
Except for that one, as soon as I say it.
Well,
5
you're now
serves, 15.
officially an announcer, being able to incur the announcer's cursing.
Side out.
Attaboy. Go, let's get some more.
So pretty soon the players are going to start paying the announcers to not say anything about him.
15 serves, 5.
Well, on the Pro Tour, actually, the players actually do pay us for all the fines that they incur.
Is that with the Monopoly money that I've given them?
They actually call those Vincent bucks. They're given an allotment. They have to pay them off.
And what do they get to cash those in for at the
5
end of the
serves,
year?
15.
Well, we actually cash them in.
Ah,
At Golden Corral.
with the chocolate fondue fountain.
Point.
Push him back. Keep him out of the front.
6 serves, 15.
Looks like this one's going to go tiebreaker over here on this side. I don't know what's going on with that Annalise versus Maddie Brown match, LFC versus Mo State, but I hear it's getting noisy. Dave, can you give us an update?
I'm actually out here on court 7, Dave, where it's Daniel Cordova taking game number 1 over Riley Kloss, 21-12. He
7
leads
serves, 15.
13-7 on game number 2.
There's a rocket there by Jeff Streibig.
15 serves, 7.
Now, just before this point, teammate John Hingy was telling Jeff to take a timeout, and he shook him off. And apparently his head was where it needed to be, getting fast side out after that.
I just got here to court 7, Dave, where there's a huge crowd in here watching Riley and Daniel Cordova, mostly Lake Forest alum, but we do have the president of the Daniel Cordova fan club, Luis Estrella, sitting here. Luis,
7
what's been
serves,
happening
15.
here in this match so far?
Daniel Cordova is executing. He's passing the ball very well. When he gets a chance, he's using the corner kill very well. But it seems like Riley got a little run there. He's getting back
8
into the
serves,
game.
15.
Daniel's doing really good.
Thanks very much. Luigi, that's one of
Short.
our roving reporters that's on staff here just for that.
8
He
serves,
does
15.
a great job. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Dave Fink. Try to talk a little louder if you can. I'm barely hearing Luis Estrella, not Estrella, but Estrella. The L's are silent.
8 serves, 15.
Estrella means star in Spanish. And he is a rising star in Tucson, Arizona. Oh, nice shot right there from Colm Oling. Gets back
First
into the
timeout.
server's box, and there's a timeout call from Streibig. Colm within 6 now. Striking distance. Looks like he's out of juice, but He's certainly working on trying to make a comeback here. If he takes game number 2, he will not have to go to this tiebreaker, which I'm sure his body does not want to go into.
9-15. 9-15.
9-15 is the score. Dave Fink, our reporter, is roaming up and down the hallways here and catching scores from other matches. He says there's a huge flux of handball fans that are watching that UTEP match where Danny Cordova won the first game 21-13. He's up 13-7 in the second game with a surging Kloss in the men's Division I Open Division. I think it's the round of 8.
Make that 14-7 now, Daniel Cordova, who's literally hitting the serve about 4 inches high off the front wall. The ball just clearing the sideline. Riley Kloss trying to play the Lake Forest percentage handball game. Daniel Cordova is a little bit too aggressive for it right now. And it looks like here, Dave, that the etching is starting to be done as Daniel Cordova pulling away.
9-15.
Here on court number 5, which is the show court. Score is 9-15. Make that 10-15 now within 5 points of Streibig
10-15.
is Oling.
Oling has just gone on a 5-0 run to get himself back into the second game.
Get out.
Here we go. Let's go, dictate.
15 serves 10.
Coach
15-10.
Fred Lewis, Dave, is out on one of the outer courts coaching Sean Lennon in the no gloves match.
Point.
Beauty.
Excuse me, I'm not following you.
17 serves 10.
Sean Lenning's being coached by Fred Lewis.
That's right. 2 of the esteemed coaches here. One is playing, the other is actually coaching. And one of these outer courts is Sean Lenning taking on one of the collegiate participants.
Well, it's nice to see they flew over 1,200 miles to do that. Colmo Ling and Jeff Streibig playing behind the dotted line handball, or what I like to call dotsies right now. Ashley, have you seen any of them step over that line?
Not since the
Play
serve.
again.
Jeff Streibig really wanted an avoidable hinder on that call right there as he saw Colm just migrate over to the middle of the court and take that
16
ball in the
serves
back.
10.
16-10.
And I like Jeff going away from his lob serve to try for crack
And Daniel Cordova has advanced now to the men's open semifinal as a freshman. This obviously his first ever collegiate nationals. We're going to get a quick word with him in just about 30 seconds, talking about that huge win that he just had.
There's another point for Streibig, who's now out to a 17-10 lead here in the second game.
And as much as there's a lot of excitement over there for that Danny Cordova match, Dave Fink,
17 serves 10.
Streibig is starting to get his name etched in for the second game here as he's trying to force a tiebreaker. And a lot of those Mo State fans that went away after that first game loss have now come back. And that's all the cheering that you're hearing here down the hallway, Dave, is coming from this show court.
Well,
18 serves 10.
Dave, it's certainly getting rowdy here on the show court, but I've got Daniel Cordova, who's become our first semifinalist in the men's open. Daniel, you made it look really easy in there, making quick work of Riley Kloss.
At the end, I was at the beginning, he was starting to kill a lot with his left. I had seen him play, he was only passing with his left, and now he started to kill some back wall left
19 serves 10.
shots, and he was getting about the five. But I think the serve was what got to him. I started serving to the crack on the left side, and he started missing some, and he makes a lot of hand errors because he wants to roll it out always, so he skips the left side a little. So I think that's what gave me the advantage. And at the end, I had some confidence.
How excited are you for tomorrow? It'll be your first, obviously, collegiate open semifinal match. You'll be taking on the winner of
Miri and O'Connor. That's going to be 2 of the toughest ones because
I played O'Connor in 2009 Worlds, and he beat me in the
10
tiebreaker.
serves 20.
That was pretty bad. And I'm pretty excited. This is my first year to the collegiates. I'm a freshman, and I've gotten several offers from different colleges that want me to go to their school because they see me that I'm by myself and I'm getting to the semifinals. So I'm very excited to impress some people.
Okay, Dave, this is game point right here for Jeff Streibig. Nice interview there with Danny Cordova. Go ahead and wrap that up if you'd like. But here we are at 20-10, game point. This place will erupt if he scores this last point. That's why I cut you off. Sorry about that. And he does not. It is a side out. No erupting just yet.
10 serves 20.
I have faith in our director, Dave Fink, in that the sound from Cordova was loud enough for everyone to hear. We can't really hear it through our headphones, so it's very difficult for us to hear over the court noise. And there's a point for Colm Oling. And a timeout being called from Jeff Streibig, who does not go over and sit next to his father. He sits right next to Jonathan Hingy.
Well, Jeff Davis had a couple of opportunities in this first game. He came up short on that first kill shot attempt, and he'll call a timeout before anything starts to potentially unravel, as he's just 1 point from forcing the tiebreaker here.
Well, you're watching the 60th United States Handball Association's four-wall collegiate national championships. The reason why I threw that four-wall in there is because there's also a one-wall collegiate national championships that have become quite popular.
Hey, Hingy, is that who you're playing?
I'm glad that they organized that.
20,
Here, though, Missouri
you got
State
20
University,
level.
they've hosted these
Is that who you're playing?
games multiple times throughout the years. There's rumors that
Jeff,
this might
what's
be
your
the
second-
last time they
second
come
time
here,
out?
but you never say never, right, Dave? I mean, this
30
is a great
seconds.
facility for the collegiate nationals.
Well, I say never a lot, so I can't really relate.
Say Isaac's losing? He lost the first one? Or he's losing?
You heard that, Dave, overhearing some of what's going on. The #1 seed is losing the first game in the quarterfinals right now, and I don't know if you can get down to one of those courts. Isaac Acosta, who is the
11
#1
serves,
seed,
20.
could get upset right now against, I believe he's playing against McCarring.
He's playing Neary.
Kieran Neary might have
Right out.
taken down Isaac Acosta in the first game, as we overheard some intel. Is that true, Dave?
Well, I
20
haven't
serves,
been
11.
there just yet. That's on the other side of the facility. I will be making my way over there after this game ends.
And there it is right there. Crowd goes crazy because Jeff Streibig just took down Colm O'Leary in the very second game now, forcing a tiebreaker. And we will take a timeout and give you a chance to go find out what happened with Isaac Acosta in the other court down at the very end. You don't have to give a report live, Dave. We'll be back to catch that. I know you're going to walk down there very slowly because you don't want to pull a hamstring being ranked in the top 6 on the Pro Tour and all. But we will take a timeout. We'll be back in about 4 minutes. Stick with us here live for Ashley Moeller. My name is Dave Vincent for RaceRate.com.
This? No, it just ended a second. This is the Jeff Streibig show. Every time I look around, he's playing. Show for it. Let's be honest. That's a good thing to remember. Play some music for us.
You know, like this hand is kind of blurry. But I'd rather have it less green. I don't know.
And we are back here at Missouri
serve
State
zero.
University. 0-serve-0. Jeff Streibig loses the first one, comes back and takes game number 2. He gets the first serve because he outscored Calm Oling, and now he gets the first point. We go to 21 here. This is to make it to the semifinals
1-0.
in the men's Division 1
Short.
A division.
Second serve.
You've seen a lot of players do this recently, Dave. Maybe it's just more conscious of it, but they go into the court
Two
chewing
serves
gum. Is that something you've ever done?
Side out.
Get there quicker.
I
Go. Get possession. Come on.
Does that count?
0 serves 2.
I actually chew gum in almost every game I play. Because I get so anxious that it puts my mind into a rhythm,
Point.
calms me down.
Get him out in front. Get him out of there.
Your horse here, Dave, looks like he's coming up a little bit lame.
1 serves 2.
The tiebreaker here.
Well, you know what they
Short.
do with lame horses. They put them down. So I hope that doesn't happen to my horse.
Second serve.
Like Jeff Streibig is on his way to putting him down.
I don't know about that. My horse is serving, and he has only 1 point trailing Jeff Streibig at this moment. Make that a tied ball game going to 11. First one to score 9 points wins.
2 serves 2.
Hector Fazio, Peter Hughes, tournament desk, please. Hector Fazio, Peter Hughes.
Wow. Nice athletic play from the horse. He went from my horse to the nickname The Horse. Pretty interesting.
Does that mean he's a community horse now?
No, he's just a man at war right now against Jeff Streibig. That pun was
2 serves 2.
intended.
Point.
Streibig now gets 3. The horse
3
2.
serves 2.
This is going to be a good serve. How tired do you think these guys are, Dave, playing multiple rounds? Multiple long rallies.
Well, it's very difficult to determine the exhaustion level of some of these guys because everyone's got a different threshold for exhaustion. These guys are both young. Jeff obviously is a wrestler. Those are some of the most well-conditioned
4
athletes in
serves
the
2.
world. I'm not talking about the professional wrestlers. Those are the most well-conditioned. But
Side out.
the Olympic-style wrestlers, Dave, are also nearly as well-conditioned as the WWE
2 serves
stars
4.
that you follow every Monday night on Raw and Saturday nights on SmackDown.
Hit him.
Huh.
Are you a Triple H fan,
Two
or are you
serves
more
4.
of The Undertaker?
Well,
Well, actually, he's dating herself just a little bit there because those aren't really the top guys in the sport anymore. But to your point, Triple H. He's the game.
Guys are afraid to miss some of the typical handball here at Langston Sports Complex in Lee. We have your
Hold on. Contact.
Sports Bar and Grill just west of Missouri State
Time out.
University at the corner of Harrison and Kimbrough. Not only has your easy meal hot and ready, but is streaming live handball matches to court number 5 thanks to the WCA's live stream. Don't forget Hoover Sports Bar and Grill right down
2-4.
the road. Good food and live.
What's
Your
going on
horse
here,
there,
Dave?
Dave, left the court in a huff. Pun unintended. He didn't look happy. I don't know if there was some contact on that rally or if he's just needing a breath.
Well, I don't know if the huff would be necessarily the pun. If he would have hooved it out of the court, possibly that could have worked its way into a slight pun. I'm not sure if huff is a horse term.
Well,
We'd have to
sometimes
get.
a horse.
Well, that's actually a whinny, but I would like to see the girls from Michigan State come here because they've got all of the agricultural terms down and they'll correct you right on the spot.
That's true. Many of the 47,000 students at Michigan State are in that agricultural program. It's one of the top agricultural programs in the country.
2 serves 4.
I thought I heard the referee say 2-4, but it says 3 on the scoreboard, and I actually believe the scoreboard. No replay from the referee. They're letting him shoot underneath the legs of the
4
horse.
serves 2.
4-2 is the score, and there's a short ball.
Second serve.
Just barely missing the tail.
Side out.
There's a side out.
And he rode that shot all the way into the server's box.
2 serves 4.
Well, O'Ling is trying to keep Streibig from galloping to the title here.
Side out.
It's a run for the Roses on show court number
4
5.
serves 2.
4-2 is the score.
Side out.
We've alluded to the format here, Dave, of the double drop
5
downs
serves
and the
2.
drop ups. Do you think this is a format that should be used at most tournaments to encourage more participation and more match play? Because so many of these events, Dave, players show up, lose their first match, and they're done.
Well, I like the format, but I believe it's really more accustomed to those that are unfamiliar with how to seed a tournament with multiple players come from different regions, and that drop up allows for bad seeding, poor seeding to correct itself. You might have 2 marquee players playing each
6
other in a
serves
round
2.
of 32. One of them loses, they actually can win back up.
I wasn't even referring to the poor seeding. I just think it gives everyone a chance to play a lot of matches, which is why you travel all these miles to come to these events, is to play a lot of matches.
No, I do like that. Just not sure
7
how it would
serves
work if you have, in America, it seems like they have so many different so many different classes where there could be 20 different divisions in one tournament, and therefore they're watered down. You see these 8-man tournaments. I don't know how you'd want to jump back in on an 8-manner.
What I like about the tournament here, Dave, is that these players lose, but then they're still playing for a lot because they're playing for a national
8 serves
title,
2.
whether it be in Division II Open or Division III seed. Every match means something to them because they're actually playing for their division. You see so often in our events that you lose, you drop
9
into
serves 2.
consolation, and no one really cares once they're in that consolation.
Right. I like that chance to win back in. Some tournaments will run that way. Looks like the writing's on the wall right now for O'Ling. Let's not forget the great sportsmanship from Jeff Streibig, who could have just won this out of default. He thinks that that's a bad bounce off the light.
I don't.
Did that come out funny? I don't know. We'll just side out.
I believe that was a poorly played ceiling shot. Now, I can't see the
2
light
serves
from
9.
where I am, but
It looked like it was pretty far back, but you hear people saying it was the front light, which doesn't mean much because sometimes the front light's about 15 feet back. There's a side out. I guess the handball gods knew more than the referee did.
9 serves 2.
I know you worship those handball gods, Dave. Not on Sunday, that's finals day. Your worshiping takes place on the Friday. That's when the round of 16 takes place. Everybody has a different
Two
day.
serves 9.
2-9 is the score here. Colm hit that ball so hard it went right into Streibig's hand, and Streibig now serving at 9-2 here. And you hear the crowds are starting to get
9 serves 2.
kind of noisy.
The crowd is filling in, Dave, for this end of this great matchup. Also trying to get themselves in position, Dave, for that following
serves
match
2.
with Jonathan Hingy and Martin, the great Irish lad.
Mulcairn,
I can't say his last name. So
watch this. And that ball hits Hingy on the way back. This is actually going to mark the very first time we've done a live broadcast where an Irish person lost. Dave Fink. It's been 7 years.
And we've agreed that Charlie
serves
Shanks
10.
is no longer an Irish.
Well, he lives in New Jersey. Can't count him now. There is a side out. This place will erupt after Streibig scores his next point, which is probably going to be right here.
10 serves 2.
There it is. Streibig does it. Takes down Colm Ling to advance here, the men's A Division I bracket. The crowd loving what they're seeing, Dave. Ashley, you see they put it all on the court here. Congratulations to the 2 young student athletes playing their hearts out. We have another match coming up around the corner. Now, you said it was Jonathan Hingy and Martin Mulcairn. Is that who you have in this match here? I'm looking on the board, and I'm not necessarily sure. They've changed this match multiple times, but I believe that is Mulcairn's is coming up next with Jonathan Hingy, who started this morning. I believe he's going to finish this live broadcast day.
Well, he's the anchor here for the Missouri State team. He's their #1 ranked player. And I believe that his match has been switched to this webcasted show court. Time will tell, as it always does.
Okay, we'll have that match coming up next. I see that Mulcairn's is actually in the court right now warming up, so we will have a brief break. The full crew will be on hand here for this last match. This is going to be a fun one, and we're going to have it on here in just a bit for Dave Fink, Ashley Moeller, our director Linda Manning, and Omar Lemus. My name is Dave Vincent. Stick around, about 10 minutes away for this monstrous round of 8 men's Division I open play between Martin Mulcairn from Ireland and Jonathan Hingy right here from Mo State. More action right around the corner at racefor8.com. Stick with us.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future.
My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
What if the disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it is completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
So, what's it gonna be? We got bikes, skating, movies, zoo, whatever you guys want to do.
Can we just do this?
Yeah. We could just do this.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Our non-toxic, biodegradable, all-purpose cleaner works great for cleaning. Thank you. Non-toxic, biodegradable, simple green. It's great for cleaning.